Every fuel company has forms. Lots of them. Leak checks, safety inspections, site surveys, equipment checklists, service forms, customer sign-offs. The list goes on and on. And for a long time, if you need to record something that does not already reside inside Cargas Energy, you probably need some paper or spreadsheet or even use a third-party form tool. And then what happened? Somebody then had to find that form, scan it, upload it, retype it, attach it, track it down, and somehow, some way get that information back into Cargas Energy. And sometimes they never make it at all. This is where our new Cargas Energy Custom Forms functionality comes in. Custom Forms greatly extend the functionality of Cargas Energy by letting you build and manage the forms that you already use outside of the system and bringing that entire process directly into Cargas Energy. So instead of your data living in 10 different places, your team can capture all the information that they need where they need it, which is right inside the Cargas Energy workflow. And in this video, I want to share with you my personal top 5 favorite things or features about this all new custom forms functionality. My number one favorite thing about this feature is actually the form builder itself. Because if you're going to build a lot of custom forms, the builder itself needs to be really easy and intuitive to use for normal users, but powerful and flexible enough for real complex business needs. And this one hits that balance really well. You can quickly add all the usual fields that you need in these kinds of forms like text box, date fields, number fields, drop downs, checkboxes, and so forth. But you also get the more advanced field types like image uploads and also signatures. So whether you're capturing just a simple service checklist, a technician note, a customer acknowledgement, or a more detailed inspection form, you have all the tools that you need right here. It's intuitive, it's easy to build, and you can be on your way in creating pretty complex forms without feeling like you need to call IT every 5 minutes. And if you want to make your form to not just be a one-pager, not a problem. You can create multi-page forms, you can organize questions into sections, and you can even use conditional logic or branching. So for example, if a user would answer yes to a question, they can be sent to another follow-up question, but if they answer no, they can skip that question entirely or go to a different question. So another really useful and powerful feature is the ability for the form builder to map existing Cargas Energy fields to pre-populate the forms. And this is huge, because if Cargas Energy already know the customer information, the name, their account number, and all the other relevant information that you want to capture in that form, you do not want your technician to waste time in entering those information in the form again. And that's really the big win here. Faster forms, cleaner data, less manual work. My second favorite thing about the custom form is one of the coolest features, which is import a PDF. Because sometimes the form already exists in a PDF format. Maybe it's a company form, maybe it's a compliance form, maybe it's a form that's been used for years and everyone is really familiar with it. And sometimes replicating those forms can be really time consuming because the forms themselves are not that simple. The good news is you do not have to recreate these forms from scratch. With the import PDF functionality, you can upload fillable PDF, and Cargas Energy will automatically detect the fields in the form and create the form for you. And that can save a lot of setup time, especially for large or complex forms. But here's the part that I really like. Because complex forms do not necessarily mean you need to have complex user experience. As you import the forms into Cargas Energy is converting these complicated PDF forms into forms that are very easy to use for the user, for the customer, for the technician. So they can fill out these forms in a cleaner, more user-friendly format. Then when the form is completed and is then printed or sent into a customer via email, Cargas Energy converts the forms back into the familiar PDF format that you upload. So you get the best of both worlds. Your users get to fill out the forms with the easy, intuitive user experience, while you get to keep your familiar PDF formats for you to keep, send, or preserve for your records. And that's super cool. Custom forms have this cool dashboard view that lets you view the form responses in a visual way. So instead of digging through individual form submissions, now you can start seeing patterns. How many responses come in? Which answers are showing up most often? Are there recurring issues that are reflected in these responses? Are technicians reporting the same problems across multiple jobs? That kind of visibility is really helpful. It turns your forms from simple data collection into something that can actually support better business decisions. And for leaders and decision makers and managers and even the operations team, having that kind of access to your form submission data is a really big deal. My fourth favorite thing about custom forms is probably not something that you would think about right away, but it actually matters a lot, and that is version history. Because forms change. You add a field there, or you remove a field from over here. You reorganize sections. You change the questions in the forms because your process over time have changed. But here's the problem with a lot of form tools. When forms change, all the responses that have been previously recorded under the previous format become really messy, confusing, or sometimes even lost. Custom forms handle this really well. Because when you update a form, Cargas Energy preserves all the previous responses from the previous version. So if someone already filled out an older version of that form, those responses will stay in Cargas Energy forever. The data doesn't just disappear because the form has changed. And you can view these specific responses that are tied to any past versions of the form. And this is important for your record keeping, your audits, your compliance, service history, or your just general peace of mind. No panic, no data loss. No, wait, where did that field go? And my fifth favorite thing about custom forms is the way it works inside mobile service. Custom forms are currently integrated into mobile service with lots of future enhancement already planned for other parts of Cargas Energy, such as mobile delivery and other areas. But even now, there are already some really cool service-specific features built in. First, as you may expect, forms can be attached to a task template, which means when a task is created from that template, the forms go with it, and your task will already include the form that you need without you needing to add it manually. So if a certain type of task always requires certain type of checklist, inspection forms, or customer sign-off, you can just build that right into your process. The technician do not have to remember which forms to use. The dispatcher does not have to manually add the form into the task. This is an automatic part of the process. Secondly, forms can be required. And that's a big one. Because you can set a form to be required so that a technician cannot complete a specific task until that form is completed. And that helps to make sure that important steps are not being skipped, especially for things like safety checks, compliance, or customer sign-offs. And third, these forms can still be edited as long as the task is still open. So if a technician is working on a longer job that takes more than one day, they do not have to finish the forms all at once. They can go back, they can add more information, they can update their progress, upload more images as they go, and keep building the record as the work continues. And that makes the form much more useful for real-world service work, where jobs are not always completed in one quick visit. And finally, there's the quote functionality itself, because the form can be set as quote only. That means a customer or a technician or a salesperson can fill out a form during the quoting process, and once that quote is accepted and is converted into a work order, that form response becomes a read-only, and your technician, as he or she is working on the work order or the job, can then view this completed form response that was recorded during the quoting process. And this is really helpful because that means the information that you capture during quoting process do not get lost after the quotes become a work order. So there you have it. Those are my 5 favorite things about Cargas Energy Custom Forms. And at the end of the day, custom forms is about bringing more of your processes into Cargas Energy where they belong. So if your company is still using manual paper forms, spreadsheet, PDFs, or even a third-party form tool outside of Cargas Energy, custom forms might be a great way to simplify your workflow and keep everything connected inside Cargas Energy. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching and happy form building.